What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of One Man's Opinion. I didn't really plan out the intro. Another installment, sure, why not? Today we're talking about Smite again, and last time we covered the bottom 6 of the starting Smite gods. 12 in total, and I'm giving my ranking on who I think is the best overall, in case you're a newcomer to the game like I was just like a month ago or so. I'm really enjoying the game. What I like is that the game is multi-layered, and even since I wrote this list and I started all this, even since the last video that I recorded, I've learned a lot playing the game. And so, you know, to be honest, I might even disagree with some of this now that I've played more, but I still think this list holds true because I was still a new player when I wrote it, and this is more for new players. So through the eyes of a new player, which character might be the best? Because they're best all around, or because you prefer an offensive player. I'll let you know about offensive or defensive, who stacks up the best in different categories. And that's the idea behind this. Last time we talked about number 12 Ra, number 11 Artemis, number 10 Yamoja, number 9 Nemesis, number 8 Kukulkan, and number 7, Ymir. And now we're kicking off the top 6. Coming in at number 6, we have Oleron. Now, Oleron I like to think of as the better Ra. To me, his skill set is similar to Ra's in a lot of ways, only better. Oleron is the Yoruba ruler of the heavens. So he's essentially like just God. He's like the... From my understanding of what I've looked into it, which is very limited, so if I get this wrong, forgive me, but I believe that he is essentially God. But anyway, Oleron's pretty neat. Like I said, he's like better Ra. His attacks are similar, so he has like a straight line beam, but it's wider and faster. He has a move where he kind of has a power-up. His fists glow, and his blasts that he throws come out faster. So he pumps them out faster, they do more damage, and then within a certain time frame, you can use that ability to cast almost like a ball of sunlight into the sky above an area, and it'll like rain down, I guess, a heavenly fire type thing. It just rains down fire. So you get like this boost. And then you also get like an area of effect attack. His getaway technique is an attack that surrounds him. It kind of glows really quick and hits people. I think it slows them down. I know it blinds them as well, so you can kind of make your escape there. As far as offensive goes, I think Oleron is pretty good. I gave him an 8 out of 10. He has a lot of options to cause a lot of damage. His ultimate attack isn't necessarily a damaging attack, but it's this huge, wide, and very long stretch. And it just highlights an area, just a massive area on the field, and enemies in that field are slowed like drastically. And I think there's even like a brief period of time where they can't use any special attacks, and even once they can use special attacks, I'm pretty sure those attacks are slowed a whole lot as well. So they're basically useless and helpless in there, and it can be a good time if you throw that up to rush in with any of your other attacks and get off a lot of damage. Plus it sets up assists for anybody on your team who has a damaging ultimate. It's a good time for them to lay it down in there. And so he's a really good team player, and he's capable of getting off a lot of damage. As far as defense goes, to me, he's got better defense than a lot of casters. I gave him a 5, which is middle of the road, and that's not among casters, that's among the field. To me, he can take a hit really well. What I've played with him, he seems to have pretty solid defensive stats. I give him a 5 on survivability as well. His technique for getting away with with that move that surrounds him, pretty much you want to just keep your distance with this guy. If someone gets around you, throw up the blinders, make sure that you can have a quick exit. Always have like your exit strategy in the back of your mind. You rarely ever want to like cross halfway of the battlefield. Now keep in mind that I did all of these rankings for arena play. I know there are other game modes, Conquest and Joust, and I've been doing a lot more of those recently. And if I were to do this ranking for those game modes, it would definitely be different. To me, it's hard to beat Kukulkan for Joust, for example. And so, I think every one of these people have strengths that help them in certain game modes. This is for arena because when you come in as a new player, that's what you'll be playing. So he can kind of get away sometimes, but also he's pretty easy to chase down too. So you don't want to cross like that halfway mark with Oleron. As far as being a nuisance goes, I give him a 4, kind of a subpar a little bit here. His ultimate is certainly a little annoying, and his ability to drop damage on people pretty quick can be a little bit of a nuisance, but he doesn't do a whole lot in the ways of trapping people or slowing them down. He doesn't do a lot in the way of freezing people in place or stunning them or anything like that. So not a very high score there. Ease of use, I gave a 7. The dude he's pretty straightforward. It's not hard to figure out what he does. I think the hardest thing to figure out, or at least for me the first time or two I played him, I didn't realize that the glowy hands not only gives him that speed attack, but also you can throw up the meteors from above. It took me a couple times playing with him to realize that you can do that. Also, a tip for the newcomers out there, if you press up on the D-pad, you can read about, there's like a description of each one of the attacks. You can also do that from the main menu, and that kind of helps figure out like how to play the characters. Something I didn't know early on either. Finally, versatility. Oleron is actually, to me, he's pretty decently versatile. His ultimate allows him to slow people down if they're on top of him. His blinder move does a little bit of damage. It slows them, it blinds them. He has those options from up close, and his hands being able to glow like that and throw out that damage quick. If somebody gets on top of him, he can fend for himself for a little bit. He's got a pretty decent defense for a caster, so he can hold his own up close. It's not the fight you want, but it's the fight that you can hang on, you can manage it, especially if you have like a health lead or a level lead. You can hold your own from up close with Oleron. So I give him a 7. I think he's pretty solid from certainly from range. He's very good, but even from up close, I think he's pretty good. Or I'm sorry, for versatility, I give him a 6, not a 7. 6. Oleron finished with a final score of 35 out of 60, and I don't know if you remember, but Ymir on the last one, who was our number 7, had a 34. So we're still staying in that real tight range there. All right, coming in at number 5, we have Ares, the god of war. That would be the Greek god of war. Ares is probably my personal favorite on this list. I love playing with Ares a whole lot. He's not the one that you're going to get a whole lot of damage with. He's not the one you're going to get a whole lot of kills with, but his defense is super high, and he's such a team player. Ares' abilities are all about helping out the team. He's got this like chain spear, almost like a scorpion thing. He throws out this like chain spear, and if you hit with it, then the target is slowed, so you can slow him down, you can keep him from going anywhere. He's got this like cone of fire that comes out of his shield. It's really good for clearing a path, especially those little minions that come out. You take care of those. That gives your team the ability to stay on the offensive and not have to take the defensive so much. You got somebody out in front who can take a lot of damage, just kind of, clearing the path. That way you can get to the bad guys on the other side. Other than that, he has a move where he beats his shield, and he gives everyone around him better defensive abilities. And even his ultimate, he kind of like goes up in the air, and anybody within a pretty large area he'll attach a chain to, and you can drag them back toward your side. So if you've got somebody retreating that's trying to get away, if you've got somebody that's almost dead, anything like that, you can attach yourself to these people and pull them back. If you're far enough back in your own end zone, I guess I would say, you can pull them back into your base and let the towers take them out, which is also really helpful. Plus, when they get pulled in, they're stunned for a moment. It's a great time for your team to just gang up on somebody and get a quick kill really easy. It does pretty decent damage for it to be more of a team-style attack, too. I really dig playing with Ares a whole lot. Offensively, he's not really that guy. He's not doing a whole lot of damage. Yeah, he has a lot of, abilities offensively. He has a lot of techniques for slowing people down, for grabbing people, from keeping them from getting away, those sort of offensive techniques, but from a damage standpoint, it's not too good. I gave him a 4 for damage. His defense is the highest on this list. I tied him with Ymir at 9 for defense. The dude can just take an incredible amount of damage. For that reason, he gets a very high survivability. I gave him a 7. He's just really hard to take down. If you try to get him with a chase down, he can hit you with that spear from a range, and then you're slowed, and so he can get away that way. If you get in his face, he can throw up the fire shield, which, even though that's his best damaging move, and if you're not really low of health and they're not really confident that they can kill you, it'll scare most people away, because it does drain a health bar pretty good, and if you've got anybody around you, they're going to have a hard time surviving themselves. And then his ultimate with the stun, his technique where he bangs the shield and he gives himself a defensive buff and anybody around him. So those buffs, those ways of stunning and slowing and the fire deterrent, it really keeps people at bay. Now he's slow and he doesn't have like a dash or a teleport or anything like that, so that's why I couldn't give him like an 8 or a 9. But I think a 7 is pretty fair for survivability for a guy who's so difficult to take down and has weapons to slow and stun as well. As far as a Nuisance, I gave him a 7 on that one as well. Look, the guy is super annoying, and that's what his job is. He is the tank. He's out there to take damage. He's slowing people. He's stunning people. He's buffing defensively his teammates. He's running out there with that fire shield and just creating like this wall of fire. Anybody who gets in the way is taking substantial damage. Well, I say substantial, a pretty decent chunk for a Guardian whose job is to tank. So Nuisance 7, and I even think it's arguable I could have given him a higher score on that one. Ease of use also a 7. Pretty much everything he does is straightforward. I think there is a little bit of nuance to learn with his ultimate. I didn't know, like coming in when I was brand new, I guess I just assumed everyone's ultimate was just like about doing the most damage possible. I didn't realize how much his ultimate is for team play. I didn't understand the mechanics of, dragging them back, getting them back toward your side. That way they have further to run. That way your teammates can gang up on them. I didn't understand that you could pull people into the towers. I remember when I figured that out, I was like, oh, that's genius. Why didn't I think of that sooner? And so, I think there is a little bit of a learning curve with him, but his defense is so high and all of his moves are so straightforward that I didn't think it was difficult to grasp how to play him either. So I gave him a 7, a pretty good score on that. Versatility's a 2, though. He really doesn't have any options from a range. Even his spear is probably a medium range spear. You're not going to get anybody from a great distance with him. Overall, Ares came out with a 36, just barely beating out Oleron. Now, coming in at number 4, we have Guan Yu, and I don't know if it's Guan Yu or if it's Guan Yu. I'm going to say Guan Yu. But we have Guan Yu here. I like Guan Yu a lot, man. He's really cool, and he's like the worst version of someone else who's about to come up on this list pretty soon. But I do like Guan Yu. He's such an offensive threat. He's got that move where he spins his halberd just over and over. If you're within so many feet, I mean, it's a pretty good mid-ranged attack, and that thing just eats a health bar. He's got his ultimate is used as a runaway tactic or an aggression tactic. He hops on a horse and his speed is incredible. He does extra damage while he's on the horse so he can chase down people and cut them down really easy. He has a heal. He has a thing where he can heal himself, so that's pretty cool. Guan Yu's got a lot of offensive options, and I gave him a 7 for damage. It's not insane. He has basically that spin move with his halberd that he just kind of like spins it and he chops people down that are in front of him. That is a very high damage, and so is his ultimate, but his other 2 attacks, one's for healing, the other one's not very damaging. And so he's basically 2 things that are really damaging, and then his basic attack is pretty damaging, and then 2 things that are more like for survival or technical play. So 7 for damage. Defense is a 6. He's got pretty solid defense. For being an up-close guy, I wish that his defense was a little better, but I'm not complaining. It's solid enough, but he does have to be in the fight quite a bit. And I guess to make up for the damage that he can dish out at times, they kind of backed him off. It seems like his defense isn't quite as good as some others that do up-close fighting the way that he does. Oh, he's the Saint of War, by the way. Chinese Saint of War. I didn't say that. Survivability, I gave him an 8. With the heal and his multiple ways of like getting out of combat, and I'm sorry, it's been a while since I played with Guan Yu, but I'm pretty sure his attack that I haven't mentioned yet, I think it's a dash. I think it's a short burst dash that also does damage. I could be wrong about that, but it seems like he has that option for getting away. Obviously, he has his ultimate, hop on the horse, and nobody's going to catch you. And then also with the heal, he can keep himself alive quite well. And so survivability, an 8. Nuisance, I gave him a 4. Really, the horse is the most annoying thing about him. That horse, when he hops on the horse, you don't know what you're going to get. He may run away and you can't kill him. He may come in for a kill on somebody on your team that's weak. He stays on the horse long enough that he can get off a couple attacks and then kind of leave a little bit. He probably won't make it all the way back to base, but he'll probably put that distance between that he needs. And the damage he can dish out quickly makes him a little bit of a nuisance. I wouldn't put him like super high though. Like I said, with others, he doesn't have like necessarily stun. And I don't think any of his attacks slow. If they do, it's probably minimal. So not much. More in the nuisance category, that he can kind of just get to you and he can dish out damage, not so much of the effects that he has on the battlefield. Ease of use, I gave him a 9. The dude is solid. He's straightforward. All of his attacks are very self-explanatory. They're very straightforward. He has a heal that's, you know, a click of a button and you get a chunk of HP back, and then you hop on the horse and you do what you want with it. There's nothing really here that's tricky or difficult to learn. I'm sure there's different like techniques and ways of stacking his abilities to optimize them. I'm kind of learning that the more that I play, is that you want to hit, every character has like almost a succession that you want to hit your attacks in to optimize their damage, or depending on what your role is, it may optimize other things, but there's almost like a set way to play each character that I'm kind of learning as I go. And Guan Yu may have something like that that I haven't quite picked up on yet, but for the most part, he's a pretty straightforward character. And finally, versatility, I gave a 6. Look, with his horse being able to chase somebody down, he can close that gap. And with that slight little dash, you know, he has, and even his big damage attack, I don't know if I would quite put it mid-range. It's certainly not too close range. It may be, you know, like somewhere between mid-range and close range. He has a little bit of reach with it, so if he dashes in and then starts spinning that thing, most people can't get away before the health meters really starts ticking off there. So his chase down game is pretty good, which gives him a high versatility, because while he doesn't attack from a range, he can close down a range pretty well. Overall, Guan Yu came out with a 40 out of 60, which was a 4-point jump from Ares, so we kind of got into that next tier. Number 3, we have Neith. Neith is the Egyptian Weaver of Fate. She's one of my favorites here as well. She's the only person I gave a damage 10 to, and that's because everything that Neith does hurts. She can drop arrows from a distance. Even her runaway, I've gotten a lot of kills off of, because you get in these battles with someone who is an up-close fighter, and her runaway technique, she shoots her bow and arrow and then backflips away, like kind of simultaneously, and she does damage out in front of her a little way. So if you're in like a really close fight with somebody, especially somebody who wants to close the distance with you, you can kind of bait them into coming into you like, oh no, what am I going to do? I can't run away. And then hit them with that and run away. So you get that damage, possibly a kill. I've killed a lot of people that way. You get that damage and you get out of there, which is, I think, why Neith is so good. Her ultimate, you can pretty much shoot somebody from across the map, and it does a lot of damage. And if it doesn't kill them, I'm pretty sure it stuns them. Could be wrong about the stun, but I know that it does a lot of damage, and it's like just a sniper shot. The drawback is that you can't move when she does it, so make sure that you're in the clear when you do it. But because of its incredible range and incredible damage, somebody's running for base and they barely got any health left, you just go in, lock in on them, click the button, and you'll just, it's so funny, they'll be running and then it's just, they're dead, they're gone. So yeah, like, she has a lot of ways to get off a lot of damage. Defense, I gave a 3. Now she does have good options for getting away, but remember, that's survivability. Her ability to actually take punishment isn't great. If someone gets on her head and you don't have your backflip available, or you don't have a good exit strategy, or you do the backflip but they've got a better chase down game, which that backflip covers a lot of ground. They would have to have a heck of a chase down game, and you would need to be in a bad spot to get caught up with that. Neith is actually very difficult to kill. I found myself surviving entire games on multiple occasions without dying once. That doesn't mean I always win, but my ability to stay alive with Neith is very, very high. She's hard to pin down, but if you pin her down, if she gets caught in like an Artemis trap, or if she gets caught in like something like Oleron's ability that slows her down, or something that takes away her specials for a brief moment of time, it doesn't take long for somebody to delete that health bar pretty quick if they can get on top of you and keep you there. Defense is pretty low. I give her a 3. Survivability, I gave her a 9. Again, look, I kind of already covered this, but her ability to get out of dodge is very, very good. That backflip is crazy good, and the fact that it deals damage, you don't have to turn and run. So many people, backpedaling is so dangerous in this game because you can't backpedal as fast as you can run forward. So your options when you're kind of playing defense and you're trying to get away from somebody is, okay, I can backpedal and keep attacking, or I can turn and run. And you really have to make that decision, like, if I backpedal and keep attacking, they're going to catch me. Am I going to be able to make it to the base in time? If I turn and run, I have a better chance of getting away, but also I can't see what they're doing. So now they're more emboldened to chase down because they know you can't really defend yourself, if that makes sense. Neith is very special because she can backpedal and keep fighting, and then as soon as they close the gap, then she backflips out. Most people only have one gap closer attack, one attack that really gets them to the target, and they'll have to burn that to catch her, and then she backflips out. So her survivability is crazy good. Plus, she's got really good foot speed. Some characters are just a little bit faster than others. She's one of those characters, to me, it feels like she just moves faster. Nuisance, I gave her a 6. And I think it's more than anything, it's her ability to stay alive and that ultimate, which pretty much can hit you from anywhere on the map. Those two things alone are highly annoying to play against a Neith, because it's like, I can't kill her, and anytime I get really low of health, I might get sniped from across the map. So, again, she doesn't really have the techniques that do a whole lot of, I think she might actually have a stun. I can't remember if her straight line attack has a stun or not, but either way, she's got quite a bit of options to annoy her opponents. What's scary about Neith is ease of use is an 8. All of her attacks are pretty self-explanatory. They're easy to use. Once you figure out how to work that backflip, and that's nothing, you're pretty much golden with Neith. An 8, ease of use. And versatility, a 5. Like I said, she's not ideal up close, but the fact that she has that backflip option leaves her options for up close battle. So she can stay in there, do her damage, hurt as much as she can, and then as she gets close to that low health mark, hit the backflip. She just has a ripcord, man. She just pulls that ripcord and she's out. She's out the gate. You've missed your chance on her. And so she can stay in the fight up close for a short amount of time. Her low defense doesn't allow her to have super high versatility though. But her high damage output and offensive options give her a little bit of a leadway, even in close quarters. Overall, Neith came in with a 41 over 60, just barely edging out Guan Yu. All right, number 2. All that's left. We've only got 2 left. Number 2 is the better version of Guan Yu, I feel. Baloney. Baloney? No, Bellona. Probably my second favorite character after Ares. I thoroughly enjoy playing Bellona. She's the Roman goddess of war, by the way, which is something I didn't know. I didn't know the Romans had a goddess of war. So, learn something, play this game. Bellona comes in with high damage at an 8. She can really do, and I may have lowballed her here, honestly. She can really do a lot of damage. She has an ability that covers all around her. She swings this big, heavy hammer around, and then she'll jump and bring it down. And if you can hit them on that downswing as well, that thing will take off a lot of health. She has a chase down attack with a little dash and a shield bash. I think if you hit them with that, it's the briefest of stuns, but I think it does stun them for just like a half second, something very, very quick. And then her other attack is a good mid-ranged attack where her mace kind of turns into this like whip with iron barbs on it, and she can kind of lash that thing out at kind of a distance. The cool thing about Bellona is each one of her attacks changes her weapon. And so if you do the big hammer attack, you'll wield the hammer for a little bit, and your attacks will be slower, but they'll be more damaging. If you do the shield attack, you have the shield and the sword out. Your attacks are a little bit faster. They're close range. And I don't know, but maybe the shield gives you an up in defense. I could be wrong about that, but it seems like that it would. And if you pull out that whip mace thing that she has a little bit greater range on her basic attacks, and they're pretty fast. So she can, that's my favorite one for chase down. Is after I've used my big sweeping attack and all that stuff, I save that one for last. That way I can, if they're running away and I've used my dash, I can still kind of get them as they get away, because I got that little bit of mid-ranged attack with that basic attack action. So yeah, she's got a lot of, she's basically solid offensively. What makes Bellona scary is that she's also very solid defensively. I gave her a 7, which is really good for someone who is so high also in the damage department. She's difficult to bring down, and she does damage. And I think this is one of those cases of the best defense is a good offense, because if you can't match her offensively, it doesn't matter if her defense isn't the best, because she's dishing out damage so fast and her defense is solid enough that she's going to scare a lot of opponents away one-on-one. Especially if they're another up-close fighter, she can really hold her own in that regard. So defense is a 7. Survivability, I give her a 5. Again, I might have lowballed her here, but I think ultimately what I decided was her defense is solid, and she does have the dash, but the dash is pretty short distance. It's a quick dash. Most people's chase down maneuver or ranged attack will cover more ground than that. And so she's not always the best for getting out of combat. She can get in, But when she gets in, she needs to kill her opponent. That's her best, honestly, because her damage is so good. Her best option for getting out of combat often is killing her opponent and then leaving. Because the little dash a lot of times won't get you far enough away if you're in a health-sensitive situation. Nuisance is a 6, and that's just because of her constant pressure. Again, she doesn't do anything that really annoys too much other than the fact that she is a pressure monster. When she gets on you and she starts swinging that hammer, and then you try to run away, and she does a lot of damage, and then you try to run away and she closes the gap and hits you with the shield, and then she pulls out the mid-range and you're still trying to run away and she's just whipping you in the back. And then her ultimate, which we haven't even talked about yet, is a leap. She jumps really far across the map. It's kind of like a circular area around where she lands. If you land on top of them or kind of in an inner circle, really tight, close to Bologna where she hits, that stuns them as well. I'm pretty sure while in that area, because she plants a flag when she does that, she gets increased attack damage and stuff like that. And I think your teammates do as well if they're in it. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. So yeah, she has potential to be a nuisance only because her chase down game and her pressure is very, very good. And this is what's scary about Bologna. She's easy to use. Among all of this, she is easy to use. Now, you may die quite a bit with Bologna, but when it comes to getting kills and knowing how to use her techniques and how to dish out damage and if you want a character that's just forward, that's just downhill, I just want to chase people down, I just want to get kills, I don't care if I die a lot in the process. And if you're good with Bologna, you won't even die a lot, is the crazy part, because if you get those kills early, you're going to out-level people, and then you're going to be killing people super easy. You go through people like butter if you get a couple levels up on them with Bologna. If you want a rush down character, a character that really puts the pressure on people, and that's pretty easy to use, this is your character. Bologna is the way to go. Versatility, I had to give her a high versatility too. Her chase down is just so good that it doesn't matter that she doesn't have many ranged options. The hammer covers a decent area around her. The whip covers a decent area out in front of her. She's got a speed dash for chase down, and she's got a leap across the map with her ultimate. That also stuns. She can get at you even if you're a ranged person. So she has that versatility. She has that ability to hurt you from near and then be on you very quick if she wants to be from far. So her versatility came in very high. Bologna at the number 2 spot came in with a 42 out of 60. And finally, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you have all been waiting for. Number 1, coming in, the Norse god of thunder himself, Thor. And I love Thor in Marvel, but this was not biased at all. As a matter of fact, I was surprised at how good he did. But I think it's Thor's ability to be good at everything and then great at other things that puts him just above the rest here. He's basically Bologna, but with more range. Damage, I gave him a 9. Thor's one of those, he's easy to use, and it's not hard to figure out the technique with him. He's got a stun that hits a pretty decent mid-range. I would even say a bit beyond mid-range. It's almost as far as some people's ranged attacks. So he whips that stun out. That gets on you, you're in trouble. He can throw his hammer, so he's got ranged attack. He has 2 ranged attacks, and he's an up-close fighter. And then he comes to you, and he does that spinning hammer attack with Mjolnir, and that thing can really dish out the damage, especially if you immediately go into basic attack right after. You spin, and you get a quick 1-2 with his basic attack after it, kind of like combos. And you can really put somebody in a bind quick. You hit them with that stun, throw the hammer. By the time you get to them, you've caught the hammer. You hit them with the spinneroonie.
Can you dig it, sucker?
And then slap them twice, and I promise you, if you're on the same level as them, you've deleted at least a health bar. Plus his ultimate does great damage, it stuns, and you can pretty much hit them from anywhere in the map. Now, on some of the other maps, you can't cover quite that much ground, but you really can cover a large area. He takes Mjolnir, flies up in the sky, and then you just wait. You just you pick where you want to land, and you just dive bomb from across the map. And you can land on somebody. You do damage when you land. You stun them. So if you've got your Mjolnir circle attack ready, as soon as you land, you stun, you hit that, you're going to kill most people pretty fast, unless they've got full health, but I wouldn't suggest doing it. You're an assassin class as Thor, and so you want to save that for when somebody's at like half health or less. Then you can drop on them, you can hit them with your attacks quick. You get a kill quick and get out with Thor fast. And his defense is solid. It's as good as Bellona's. The dude can take a beating while he's in there dishing out punishment to people. So I give him a 7 on defense. Survivabilities where he suffers, he doesn't have any exit strategies. There are no speed boosts with Thor. There are no teleports with Thor. He is as rush down as you can get. The difference between him and Bellona is Bellona has exit strategies, isn't as good at a range as Thor. His ultimate reaches further and stuns easier than Bellona's. It's like a better version of Bellona's, and he's got more range than her. The one thing Bellona has on him is her ability to get in and out and chase down a little bit better. But I wouldn't even say she can chase down better. She can just get away from a fight better because she has the dash. Chase down Thor's just as good because he's got the distance stun and the hammer throw. So really he can chase down just as well. But as far as survivability goes, he pretty much relies completely on his defense and offense for that. He doesn't have any techniques or tricks to get out unless you want to burn your ultimate, which is hard to do anyway. If you're in that kind of situation where you're taking as much damage and you need to get out, people can still hurt you as he kind of like winds up to take off. It's not an immediate takeoff. And so you sit there for a couple seconds. I would say probably a solid 3 seconds, which is a long time in game. It feels like a very long time. And people will just, you can't defend yourself in that position. They beat the crap out of you. And so it's not really even a very viable escape route if you're in that kind of trouble. So he doesn't really have any. Your best bet to get away with Thor is to throw the stun out and hope you catch somebody. But like we talked about earlier with the whole backpedaling thing being slow, you kind of got to take your chance. Do you want to run away? That's your best chance to get away. If you turn around to throw the stun and you miss, you've killed yourself. And it is a pretty straight line, pretty narrow, so it can be difficult to hit. So, you're taking a risk if you go that route, and there's really no good survival option other than just try to kill your opponent before they can kill you. So he got a 3 on survivability. But that's where the troubles for Thor end. Nuisance, he gets an 8. His ability to stun, he's an up-close fighter that hits hard from range with the hammer throw. He can stun also with his ultimate. He dishes out a lot of damage, so yeah, he's a nuisance. He's got 2 stuns, plus range as an up-close fighter, and an ability to drop a lot of damage on you. Yeah, he's annoying to go up against, especially in the hands of a good user. He's an 8. And finally, versatility is a 9. No, I'm sorry, that was nuisance, was an 8. Ease of use is an 8 as well. He's easy. You've got ranged options, you've got attack options. They're all very black and white, what they can do. It's for the most inexperienced player, you could pick up Thor and be decent with him. It's just easy to use. And so he gets an 8 in that category, and I kind of already spoiled versatility. He gets a 9. He's about as versatile as anybody can be. He is an up-close fighter with 2 options from a range, not to mention his ultimate that can get you from pretty much anywhere. So he can fight at all ranges and do it well. He might not be the best at long range, but he can stay in the fight from a range until he stuns you and then closes the gap. And he can fight with anybody up close because the stun works close, and so does the hammer throw. It works near and far. So he is the ultimate versatile player. He gets a 9 there. Giving Thor a 44 out of 60. All right, have you played Smite? I would love to hear who your favorite character is, who you think the best all-around character is, who you would suggest a new player pick up and try to play with. I would love to hear those comments down below if you're a fan of Smite, or just, leave me a comment just saying, hey man, I like the video. Leave me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate that a whole lot. Tell your friends, share it if you want to. Don't forget to subscribe. I hope you didn't get too upset with the opinions given here. If you did, remember, it's just one man's opinion. Thanks.